Okay, here's a weird one. What if I told you the single most chronic thing you might be consuming? The thing that's quietly creating this low-grade inflammation everywhere is something you probably think you desperately need more of.
Huh, yeah. It sounds completely backward, doesn't it?
It really does. We're diving into iron today, the nutritional paradox of iron.
Right.
Our mission, basically, is to figure out fast why we should treat iron less like a simple vitamin and more like, I don't know, a potent double-edged sword.
That's a good way to put it. Deficiency is absolutely real, we know that.
Sure, everyone knows about anemia.
But the other side, getting too much iron, it's this massively overlooked health crisis. And we need to uncover where this sneaky culprit is hiding, often in plain sight.
And you're saying this isn't just like a minor inconvenience.
Oh, no, not at all. This isn't hyperbole. The data, it really suggests excess iron is consistently one of the most toxic minerals you can consume.
Wow.
Yeah, mainly because the body, well, it has a really hard time regulating its removal once it's in there. It's not like vitamin C you just pee out.
Okay.
It sounds counterintuitive, like you said, because the whole medical conversation is almost always about deficiency, anemia, feeling tired, all that.
Right. That's all I ever hear about.
But here's the reality of the danger. Iron accumulates. If you get too much over time, it just sort of parks itself. In your vital organs, your tissues, it leads to what we call iron overload.
Overload. Okay.
And some people, genetically, have it even worse. They simply can't naturally get rid of the iron they absorb. So a simple dietary excess becomes, well, a deeply dangerous systemic problem for them.
That sounds terrifying. But if it's accumulating in organs, causing damage, why isn't this like front page news? Why is medicine still so focused on deficiency?
That is the critical question, isn't it? When iron pools up like that, it generates just massive amounts of oxidative stress.
Oxidative stress, like rusting from the inside out. That analogy?
Sort of, but maybe think of it less like slow rust and more like a chemical fire, just burning slowly inside your cells. It's quite aggressive.
Okay, a fire. Got it.
And this cascade of damage, it contributes directly to really serious stuff. Cancer, particularly colorectal cancer, is strongly linked. Serious liver disease, scar tissue inflammation, that can progress pretty fast to cirrhosis.
Wow, okay, so we're not just talking about feeling a bit tired. We're talking major life-altering diseases.
Exactly. And beyond those really big life-threatening risks,
Yeah.
it just tanks your quality of life. We see links to major heart disease, hormonal issues, things like low libido, low testosterone.
Diabetes?
Really?
Diabetes too?
Yep. And chronic fatigue syndrome, which is
Yeah.
ironic, right? Infertility, even neurodegeneration. Fundamentally, iron overload is like this engine driving a huge range of chronic inflammatory diseases.
But surely your body has some way to control this. It can't just be a free-for-all where this mineral parks wherever it wants.
You're absolutely right. Your body does have a regulator, a really elegant one, actually. It's a hormone called hepcidin. Think of it as the gatekeeper.
Hepcidin, okay.
It signals your digestive tract, hey, slow down absorption, or stop absorbing iron now when your levels are getting high. But, and this is the key, when those hepcidin signals are just constantly overwhelmed.
How does that happen?
Well, either by constant high doses of really poor quality iron, like from cheap supplements, or when your liver itself is stressed, maybe from alcohol or other issues, that whole regulatory system just breaks down. It gets exhausted. It can't keep up.
So it's truly a paradox then. We know iron deficiency is like the #1 mineral deficiency worldwide.
It is.
But the flip side, this toxic overload from poor regulation is maybe the most underdiagnosed condition out there. We're so busy worrying about the tank being empty, we're ignoring the overflow pipe flooding the place.
That's a perfect analogy, yeah. And that overflow surprisingly often doesn't start with eating too much steak. It starts right there in the medicine cabinet or the cereal aisle.
The supplement.
The sneakiness often begins with supplements. Let's really look at that standard practice. Taking a 1-a-day multivitamin that includes iron. I'd strongly recommend people evaluate that source very, very carefully.
Okay, but hold on. If deficiency is so common, especially for, say, women who menstruate, aren't we doing them a disservice by saying avoid the easiest source, like that daily pill?
Not if that pill is actually causing more problems than it solves. The key thing here is absorption. Your body is actually terrible, like really bad, at absorbing the kind of iron, it's called non-heme iron, that's in most supplements.
How bad are we talking?
You really only absorb about maybe 10% of it. Best case scenario.
10%? Seriously?
Seriously. So, okay, what happens to the other 90%? Well,
Huh?
it kind of hangs around.
In your gut?
Yeah. Picture like this disgruntled party guest who refuses to leave your digestive tract. That unabsorbed iron just loiters, and it causes total digestive mayhem. We're talking intense irritation, constipation, nausea, diarrhea, bloating.
Yeah.
It's an internal chaos agent.
Yeah. Huh. So if someone switches multivitamins and suddenly gets really constipated, it might not just be them adjusting. It could literally be that 90% of useless iron just clogging things up.
Exactly that. And it gets worse, unfortunately.
Oh, great.
That non-heme iron just sitting there in your gut, it's not just uncomfortable, it's actually feeding the opposition.
An opposition.
Pathogens, bad bacteria, yeast, stuff like that in your digestive system. They absolutely love free iron.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly dumping high doses of this poorly absorbed iron into your gut with supplements, you are literally feeding those bad bugs. You risk pathogen overgrowth, dysbiosis, all sorts of imbalance.
Okay, that's disturbing. Feeding the enemy in your gut.
Pretty much.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? Because we need to look beyond just the pills
Right.
to our actual daily diet. You mentioned cereal aisles.
Exactly. In the U.S. especially, eating common fortified foods, things like enriched bread, pasta, breakfast cereals, that's a major source of this exact same poorly absorbed iron.
They add it in.
Well, it's mandated for some things to combat deficiency on a population level, but they use the cheap non-heme forms, the elemental iron filings, sometimes literally.
Wait, iron filings, like actual metal.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but that's often what reduced iron on a label means. And again, your body barely absorbs it. So that iron sits in your gut, messes with your microbes, and, yeah, causes that lovely distended, bloated feeling. And it's not just grains. Look on the back of junk food labels. Processed foods. Added iron is hidden everywhere, often under fancy chemical names.
What should people look for?
Okay, if you see ingredients like ferrous fumarate, ferrous sulfate, or ferrous gluconate,
Okay.
that's it. That's the hidden poor quality iron, the kind that contributes to this whole regulatory mess and gut irritation.
And you mentioned kitchen tools, too, like my grandma's cast iron skillet.
Yep, cooking with cast iron pots, while it sounds wholesome, is another way you can leach out the wrong type of iron, the non-heme type, into your food. And we absolutely have to mention alcohol. Alcohol consumption is a massive factor here. Liver damage, even just mild chronic damage from regular drinking, directly causes the body to accumulate and store more iron. It messes up that hepcidin regulation we talked about.
Okay, so supplements, fortified foods, cast iron, alcohol. It's coming from a lot of places.
Yeah.
What's the alternative then? How should we get iron?
This is where we shift the focus entirely onto quality and form. Contrast all that supplemental or fortified junk with the iron found naturally in animal foods.
Like red meat.
Exactly. Red meat, fish, poultry. That's called heme iron. And heme iron is absorbed much, much better. Often 35% or even more.
35% versus 10%. That's a big difference.
Huge difference. And it goes right into the bloodstream where it's needed pretty much immediately. That means very little free iron is left floating around in the digestive tract to cause all that chaos or feed those pathogens.
Makes sense. Plus, when you eat something like red meat, you're not just getting iron in isolation. You get all the balancing cofactors with it. B vitamins, zinc, selenium, high-quality protein. It's a complete package. Your body knows what to do with it. It helps manage the mineral properly, unlike just taking a standalone high-dose pill that just overwhelms the system.
Okay, right. So we've covered the villain, iron overload, and its toxic tendencies, where it comes from. But now we get to the plot twist, the thing that really changes the perspective.
Ah, yes, the plot twist.
What if the problem isn't always the iron itself, but the lack of a competent supervisor? You mentioned iron dysfunctional anemia. What's that about?
Precisely. This is where copper enters the chat. Swaggering in, you might say.
Copper, like pennies.
Ah, yeah, the very same mineral. Copper is the essential sort of higher level mineral that actually controls iron metabolism. Think of iron as like the workforce.
Okay.
And copper is the foreman, the supervisor who makes sure the iron gets where it needs to go, does its job safely, and most importantly, doesn't become dangerous and start that internal fire.
Right. We talked about that oxidative stress, the internal rusting or fire. How does the copper foreman actually stop that?
Okay, copper has basically three heroic, absolutely crucial functions in managing iron. First, and this is critical, it acts as the key component of enzymes, what we call peroxidases.
Yeah.
These enzymes literally unlock iron from storage and prepare it for safe use and transport.
Unlock it.
Yeah, it converts that potentially toxic stored iron into a safer, less reactive form. It chemically changes it almost instantly so it can be handled properly.
Okay, that's function one. What else?
Second, copper allows iron to be transported effectively through the body. If you don't have enough copper, the iron can't get loaded onto its transport protein, transferrin.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't move out of its storage sites, like
Mhm.
the liver and macrophages. It just pools up there, causing chaos.
So without copper, iron is basically stuck in storage, just sitting there, slowly rusting the metaphorical pipes.
Precisely. Just building up and causing damage.
Yeah.
And the third function is fundamental for life itself. Copper is absolutely required to make heme, the actual heme molecule, the part of hemoglobin in red blood cells that carries oxygen.
Wow. So even if you have tons of iron floating around.
Right. Even if you have plenty of iron, if you don't have enough copper, you can't make functional heme. You can't load the iron into the hemoglobin properly. So your cells essentially suffocate, leading to that profound fatigue that often gets misdiagnosed as simple iron deficiency anemia.
That's huge. So iron deficiency might actually be copper deficiency preventing iron use.
That's often exactly what's happening. It's iron dysfunction.
And you mentioned the chemistry gets intense, the free radicals.
Oh, yeah. When unbound iron, the problematic kind, bumps into hydrogen peroxide, which your body makes naturally all the time as a byproduct of metabolism,
Okay.
they react together through something called the Fenton reaction. And this forms one of the most deadly, damaging free radicals known, the hydroxyl radical.
Huh.
This is the source of that intense cellular damage, that fire we talked about. But copper, particularly within an enzyme called ceruloplasmin, steps in. It acts as a powerful antioxidant right at that critical point. It neutralizes that dangerous reaction almost instantaneously. It stops that internal combustion engine before it completely ruins the cell.
Copper is the firefighter too then. Foreman and firefighter.
Pretty much. But what's really fascinating, and maybe a bit scary, is why so many people might be low in copper these days. This could be a silent modern nutrition challenge. We have some serious and surprising enemies that deplete copper.
Like what?
Well, number one is probably glyphosate, the main chemical in Roundup-Ready agricultural products.
The weed killer.
Exactly. Glyphosate is a chelator, meaning it binds to minerals. And studies show it binds to copper in the soil more strongly than almost any other essential mineral. So if you're eating foods grown in soils treated with it, or animals that ate those foods, your food supply itself is likely becoming copper depleted.
Wow. Okay, what else?
Certain antibiotics are known to deplete copper. It's actually part of how they work against some bacteria. And then there's high fructose corn syrup.
Of course.
Yeah.
HFCS.
Yeah. It seems to block copper absorption pretty significantly. Big time, actually. And guess what else? Those refined wheat products and cereals we talked about earlier.
Let me guess, they also mess with copper.
You got it. They contain compounds called phytates, which bind up minerals in the gut, including copper, preventing absorption. So they're like this perfect storm in the modern diet, actively working against your copper status, sabotaging your iron formant.
This changes everything. So the practical advice here is really critical. If you think you're iron deficient, maybe you feel tired, maybe you even got a borderline low ferritin test, you might actually be copper deficient. And the iron you do have is just stuck, dysfunctional.
That's a very real possibility, yes.
So the advice is clear. Don't just automatically reach for iron supplements, right? Never take them without a confirmed, properly interpreted deficiency test. And even then, you must ensure you're getting adequate copper.
Absolutely. Focus on quality food-based iron first.
Like the heme iron from earlier.
See, exactly. Get your iron from quality food sources. Grass-fed red meat is probably the best overall package. Or, if you don't eat much meat, maybe high-quality grass-fed liver pills. Use carefully. And pair that with ensuring good copper intake.
Where do we get copper from food, then, besides avoiding the depleters?
The best food sources are actually very specific and potent. Oysters are loaded with copper, shellfish in general, and organ meats, especially liver. Beef liver is a powerhouse for both heme iron and copper.
Okay. Oysters, shellfish, liver. Got it.
But a quick word of caution here. While copper deficiency seems increasingly common, just randomly taking standalone copper supplements can also be risky. Copper can be toxic in excess too. It's a balancing act. It's much safer and usually more effective to get it from whole foods where it comes with other synergistic nutrients.
Right. Food first, respect the balance. So looking back at this whole journey, the big aha moment really seems to be that the problem often isn't scarcity of the mineral itself, like iron. It's poor management.
That's it.
It's the lack of the copper supervisor, weakened by all these modern dietary villains, glyphosate, HFCS, processed grains that leads to iron accumulating, going rogue, going toxic, and basically creating chronic inflammation and systemic failure throughout the body.
You've nailed it. It's a breakdown in regulation, often driven by a deficiency in the regulator, copper.
So, what does this all mean for you listening? I guess it means we need to stop just chasing supplement numbers based on old, overly simplistic science. We need to start focusing again on food quality and understanding mineral synergy, respecting the really delicate, complex balance inside our bodies.
Well said. It's about the whole system, not just isolated parts.
And maybe a final thought to leave people with.
Yeah, how about this? Given how incredibly prevalent things like glyphosate, high fructose corn syrup, processed foods, and broad-spectrum antibiotics are in the modern diet, could copper deficiency actually be the real silent health crisis we should be worried about? Much more so than just iron deficiency. Something to maybe mull over next time you pick up that fortified cereal box, promising you all the iron you need,
Yeah.
but completely neglecting the crucial supervisor that actually manages it.
Wow. Food for thought indeed. Pun intended.